Oh, wow. It's the Security Weekly News, episode 420, 420, if you know what I mean. If you add it together, you get 6, which is the same in hexadecimal. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, I'm Doug White. It's the Security Weekly News, episode 420. Welcome to the week of 6 October 2024. Hopefully you had a great St. Isidore's Day and you're getting ready for Hagfish Day on the 19th. I remember Hagfish Day from my childhood. All right, we got AI, American Water, Broadband, Claroty, Okta, sorry, I always say it wrong, Meta, Phishing, Robocops, Josh Marpet, and more on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. In 2024, the future of identity, security, and digital transformation converges at Octane, hosted by Okta. On October 15th through 17th, join the brightest minds in tech and business in Las Vegas or online as they explore groundbreaking innovations and unveil the latest Okta solutions to keep your organization secure, connected, and ahead of the curve. Whether you're a developer, an IT or security leader, or a visionary, Octane is your gateway to transforming tomorrow, today. Security Weekly listeners only need to pay $100 for your full conference pass for Octane by using the discount code OKTNSC24 at securityweekly.com/Octane2024. And you can stream the event live on Okta.com/Octane. ThreatLocker implements a least privileged approach to cybersecurity, blocking every executable unless specifically authorized by your team. This methodology mitigates ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits, and ensures 24/7, 365.25 protection for your organization. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent known and unknown threats in your digital environment, safeguard your data and operations from threat actors, and align your organization with respected compliance frameworks, visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker. All right, from exile on the island of Elba, we're back, and it's the Security Weekly News. I'm Doug White, and welcome to the show. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your favorite platform, or we'll stop asking so nicely. Keep that in mind. Water infrastructure, people. It's time we had to talk. You really need to up your game. I'm sorry, you do. I mean, it's no more of this. It's so obscure. No one would bother. Who would care if the valves get turned on or off? Lou will go down there with his wrench and turn them off. It's not obscure anymore, people. People are bothering. Nation states are targeting you. And well, Lou died in 2021, so he's not taking calls except on Ouija boards or something. And he probably can't turn the valves. But it's time to set your house in order. On Thursday, American Water, which just happens to be the largest publicly traded U.S. water and wastewater utility, had to shut down some of its systems due to an attack. Now, understand, this is a publicly traded company, so they have a lot more money than you do, most likely, and they're subject to Sarbanes-Oxley, which means they may have been getting told this since back in 2003 or so by people like me, but they got anyway. So American Water said they had hired a third-party cyber company and reported the breach to law enforcement, which is good to hear. All those things, well, the third party costs money. They said that in addition to some of the systems that they have, they were forced to shut down their customer service portal called MyWater, and they had to pause billing. But they did make an official statement that said there will be no late charges for customers. Well, imagine that's a nice thing to do, right? Like, wow, what a great bunch we are. We won't even hit you with the late charges because you can't pay your bill. Most utilities wouldn't do that. They'd just be like, yeah, sorry, the windows are all closed and we can't accept mail. So if your bill doesn't get here, well, you'll still get that late charge. But not much else about this attack was released at this point. Like we said, they are coming for infrastructure. A TLP Amber advisory warning said that Russian-linked attacks were targeting the water sector. That was issued by the Water Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or Water ISAC. The EPA has recently put out guidance to try to assist owners and operators in evaluation of your cybersecurity practices, and they're trying to help for free. So it's really time to set your house in order and stop making old-fashioned excuses. I know there's a quadrillion of these things. They're all independent. I know that some of them are big, some of them are small, but they're hitting all of them. They've hit the tiny ones. Now they're starting to hit the big ones. So if you've got OT, IT, all that stuff, and for years you've been telling yourself it's too weird and old, no one will ever figure it out, they're going to figure it out. Okay? I'm telling you. So you heard it here first. Probably not last. But not to let anybody else off the hook. Multiple U.S. broadband providers, including Verizon, AT&T, and Lumen, have all been breached by Salt Typhoon to cross the Pacific now. So the Russians are after the water, the Chinese are after everything else. Salt Typhoon, if you aren't familiar with them, is a Chinese hacking group that may well be funded by the Chinese government. And understand, in China, not much goes on without government approval. Because if you're running a hacking group as high profile as Salt Typhoon in the People's Republic of China, yeah, they come and say, you can't do that anymore. Please step this way. And you don't do it anymore. I mean, that's how it works. And we've talked about Salt Typhoon before, but the purpose of this latest attack seems to be in intelligence collection, and the hackers may have gotten access to, wait for this, the U.S. federal government court-authorized network wiretapping requests. So you know that system they use when, like, the RICO guys are going, we're going to take down the whole Soprano family. We're going to put up wires down at Bada Bing. We're going to put them at the house. We're going to put them at the pork store. Yeah, that system. So people that had access to this would know where all federal wiretaps are, meaning drugs, crime, you name it. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, which is where this report came from, Salt Typhoon may have had access for minutes, hours, no, months, maybe longer. They aren't sure. And they may have held access to the network infrastructure that's used to cooperate with lawful U.S. requests for communications data. Yeah. Now, Microsoft called them Salt Typhoon, but they're also called Earth Estries, not a great one. Famous Sparrow, that's pretty good. Ghost Emperor, that's the one. And UNC 2286. Like, come on, Mandiant. That's the best name you can come up with for these guys. UNC 2286. At least call them THX 1138 or something. I mean, geez. Well, you can call me Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. Thank you very much. But I don't know what Mandiant calls me. Probably, that guy. But no one is commenting very much on this, as you might guess, because the government doesn't like it when, they're going, yeah, we've breached all our wiretaps. Yeah. So, but basically Salt Typhoon typically uses exploit change to breach the network. That doesn't mean they couldn't use something else. And they typically install custom rats, but that doesn't mean they couldn't install something else. And they also have a lot of custom tools, like a heavily funded and backed agency. They also use Mimikatz. Yay, our favorite. So today is a good day to review your patches and your security policy, because they are coming for you. And if they can get these guys, they can get you. So you might want to think about that a little bit to keep you awake at night if you weren't already, or in the day, depending on which shift you were on. Yeah. According to a new Claroty survey of 1,100 security professionals involved in these kind of OT, IoT, BMS, and IOMT systems, this is all the people going, we're too obscure. Yeah. About 45% of those organizations, and this was self-reported, so this is people admitting to it, about 45% of the organizations surveyed suffered losses of $500,000 or more over the past year. And 27% of those organizations disclosed losses of $1 million or more. More than half the respondents in chemical manufacturing, power and energy, mining and materials sectors have reported losses greater than $500,000 caused by cyber incidents. Now, this came from something called the Claroty Global State of CPS Security Report. So you might want to check that out, especially if you're in infrastructure or you have OT systems. Ransomware is a biggie, and ransom and recovery costs, well, they're going to hurt you. More than half the respondents said they paid ransoms, and they paid more than $500,000, with the healthcare sector being hit the hardest, where 78% of the healthcare respondents said they paid ransoms over $500,000. Look, folks, if you're paying this kind of money and you're not securing anything, you're basically taking a bag with a dollar sign on it or a euro sign or a pound symbol, whatever you like, a big bag that says swag, and you're walking down to that ATM on 111th Street with the broken street light, you know, that one at the bodega where those tough guys are always hanging around out front going, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be more nefarious. I really do. I mean, think about that. $500,000 a pop. I mean, I could actually retire someday if I could pull some of that crap off. I mean, you know I'm never going to convince a lot of you until you get hit and you shell out $500K 3 or 4 times in 1 year, you know, to some group called Holy Grapefruit, and then pay it again a week later because you didn't really remove the user grapefruit coming for you out of your system. And then, yeah, but you will, once you get this, you'll have suddenly all the upper management going, why didn't we do something about this? Why? Tell me why. We're firing somebody today. I mean, cause I've been there in that meeting, and you're just going, didn't you reject the proposals to increase personnel? Yeah, that one. Okta Classic customers. I'm sorry, Okta Classic. I have a vowel issue, and there's just not a treatment for it. Okta Classic customers are being urged to check for exploitation of recently patched sign-on policy bypass that's in Okta Classic that could have allowed unauthorized access to applications. Especially, this is according to Okta, especially if you have weak security policies in place. In the advisory, Okta said that exploitation required a combination of factors: valid credentials, use of application-specific sign-on policies, and an unknown user agent, such as a Python script or other uncommon browser types. But they advise customers running Okta Classic to review the Okta system log for unexpected authentications from user agents evaluated by Okta as unknown between 17 July and 4 October, so a pretty big period of time. On the 4th of October, they patched the bug. Now, it's not clear from this article how many of the reported 100 million users of Okta are still using Classic. But look, even that old, the exploit chain is too complicated, we don't need to worry, is really starting to wear thin with me, because I've heard this so many times. Like, yeah, it's just too complicated. I'm like, dude, some 12-year-old kid in New Jersey can look up how to do this, and they may well do it. But a nation state? Yeah, I think so. So if you think the Red Army doesn't have the time, the resources, or the good old-fashioned people hours to exploit complex chains, well, you're very naive at this point. And if your upper management's telling you that, they're very naive too. There are specific recommendations in the article, but basically what they said was, if you see an unknown user agent, the simple test is to see if that same unknown agent connected before the 17th of July. Then it's probably okay, probably. Otherwise, basically, I'll sum it up. They said, look for weird stuff in the logs. Yep. Yeah. Hopefully you've looked at your logs so you have some idea what weird stuff in the logs looks like. But they specifically mentioned looking at apps that have a default policy that are not customer configurable, like good old Office 365 and Radius. So, yeah. According to this report, more phishing attacks are being baited with AI, according to Egress. They said that there had been a 28% jump in phishing in the second quarter. Now, this is consistent with growth in every quarter, every year, because phishing works, right? I mean, basically, getting users to click links has always worked. It's worked since the dawn of time. It's worked since cave people. It will continue to work as long as humans are human. But they went on, and this thing, to warn you, that more recent findings are showing that AI is rapidly being added to phishing toolkits. Now, that means that old poorly worded letter that keeps referring to your Uncle Al as Bofu, that one, yeah, I mean, you probably picked up on that and go, wow, that's really weird. My Uncle Al doesn't speak Mandarin as far as I know. But, AI can write that email. AI can put a lot of information. AI that is fluent in over 6 million forms of communication has been terrorizing Wookiees around the globe, running the old Kessel Prince con. Yeah, that one. They can write a really nice letter from your Uncle Al that maybe actually uses things about Uncle Al that they got off Uncle Al's system, because Uncle Al is really bad about clicking those that say, you won't believe what happened when this celebrity forgot her underwear. You know that one? Yeah, Uncle Al clicks those all the time. And that's going to make the lure more attractive. Now, I think we need some AI assistants that can actually tell Uncle Al, you sure you want to click that, Al? It really does sound like it's from Russ. And I know you want to go and see Steve Vai with Russ, but are you sure? I might be Uncle Al. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, this stuff's really starting to worry me. Of course, evil AI will then start trying to trick my good AI. And well, Augustus de Morgan can play us off, boys, with a rousing chorus of great fleas have little fleas upon their backs to bite them. Now, I'm planning to go as Augustus de Morgan for Halloween, mind you. So, if I'm coming to your Halloween party, Heidi Klum, you'll be ready for it. So call me, Heidi. I think the phone was out or something, so I haven't gotten my invite yet. But any day now. You know who you are. The new Meta Ray-Bans. All right. You want to look cool in your Ray-Bans? Well, these new ones are smart glasses, and they may help you identify people on the street or objects, or like, it's coming right for us, or that guy with a giant knife might be a threat. But according to their pitch, they can show you what's going on around you in the world. Well, guess what? Before they've even actually officially been released, they've been modded by some Harvard undergraduates, which would allow them to pair Meta Ray-Bans with AI. And that's going to let the AI in the Meta glasses generate a dossier for anyone you see. Not just like, their name, but a dossier. Now, do you wonder who that homeless guy who smells like a dirty diaper soaked in kerosene that's been left in an alley for a couple of days actually is your investment broker? Well, wonder no more, because your Meta Ray-Bans with this simple mod are going to tell you everything you need to know. Now, the project is called iX-Ray, and it uses the Meta glasses to stream the videos that are coming from the glasses to Instagram. And this all goes back to like Google Glass, right? Remember the whole, foo-fa-ra about Google Glass, about people wearing them in locker rooms, people wearing them in swimming pools, people wearing them at the beach. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Well, this one's just going to stream the video straight up to Instagram. Then faces are going to get captured from the videos and fed through a service like PimEye, which can match the image to publicly available ones and return URLs, linking you to them. Now, once they've got the name and the URL, this iX-Ray product can cross-reference this data using people search sites to try and validate who this person actually is, where they live, and probably even get any private info that's out there on the internet about the person, including things like social security numbers. So the project, according to the developers, is currently a bit slow, and it can take a minute or so to pull results. So you'll have to stare at people a little more than usual, or not. I mean, just give them the old stink eye. But, that's just how you look crazy when you're walking down 8th Avenue, right? And, like people leave you alone. But all the data that they used was publicly available. And, well, there you go. The Light of Other Days, a novel. I've talked about it many, many times. If you haven't read it, I'm telling you, it's coming true. Maybe we could use some privacy laws now, U.S. legislature. Wouldn't that be helpful before people start, using their Meta glasses on you when you're doing the whole event down at the bowling alley, trying to convince everybody you're a normal guy by eating a corn dog, and their glasses are going, I'm not going to say what all they will, but when that happens, guess what? That'll get fixed. I did have to do at least one sort of pseudo-positive AI thing. So this story was about the California police departments, and we've talked about this before, but it was about California police departments using AIs to draft reports. It's only half positive, because I think, like a lot of things, it could go really, really, really wrong really, really fast. Like that time I tried to raise hagfish for fun and profit in my bathtub, or say Robocops, Terminators, all those kind of things. Now, I personally think the police using AI to generate reports could be helpful if they used it correctly. I mean, AI can translate languages on signs. It can translate what somebody's screaming at you, maybe offer insights about how to use better words to describe a situation that would be more appealing in court, or to whatever. It could draw a crime scene diagram. I mean, all kinds of stuff it could do, right? I mean, like quickly, and you could have that available to you right there. And I mean, humans are terrible at this stuff. I mean, I've read police reports. Humans are terrible at a lot of this stuff. And an AI could technically be more objective than a human, right? I mean, until the AIs all turn racist, which we know that happens too. But I mean, police reports are used for describing everything from a cat up a tree to your drunk Uncle Al dropping his clothes in front of the middle school to those gruesome murder scenes, incidents, and those reports are used to determine whether something goes to trial. They're used to determine whether, charges are going to be made or whatever. And if the officer makes mistakes in the reports, it can really be a big mess. I mean, it can result in charges getting dropped against, that serial cannibal that's been running around town lately. I mean, even if it was just a straight up honest mistake, it depends on a human judge, who, as we have seen a lot lately, may be biased or crazy or both at the same time. Now, a study of Draft One, which is the software they're using, showed that there were no time savings involved in using the software, although that's not what I thought they should be testing. I thought they should be testing the quality of the reports, not how fast it was done. And they found that officers using the software didn't produce reports any faster than a control group using, an IBM Selectric and Hunt and Peck. But at the same time, it seemed to me like these transcripts could be very useful, and they interviewed some officers who were using them very effectively. The software produces a draft report of body cam footage from the officer's audio track. So this officer they were interviewing was being very descriptive and talking, and the AI was very good at picking all that up and putting it in a nice report that was available almost immediately. So I think there's all kinds of concerns about this, don't get me wrong. And AI has certainly shown that it is not above reproach and probably not to be trusted, but it is coming. And we're going to have to come to terms with it, whether you like it or not. Congress is not going to pass laws to protect you. They may pass laws to protect themselves, but the law will probably say something like AI cannot be used against members of Congress. Everybody else, yeah, it's open season. But the security community is going to be the first front line in this. I'm telling you, we're going to be hit with this hard. I see a naked, I see a naked man holding a muskrat in one hand and what looks like an Archie comic in the other. He appears to be agitated. I don't know. It might work. Anyway, the last time I saw this guy, it was in an alley outside the Port Authority. We won't get into any further details. It's Josh Marpet. Hi, Josh.
And it literally was an alley outside the Port Authority.
It literally was.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. So, sometimes it's really hard to stay quiet when you talk about stories because I wanted to talk about the AI story and Drunk Uncle Al was kind of interesting, but whatever. But the story I've got today is actually sort of a meta story. And the reason is that the story is about the Mideast and Turkey, specifically Saudi Arabia and UAE, the United Arab Emirates. They're suffering a lot of attacks, cyber attacks in the year during this past year. And everybody thinks that the coming year is going to be worse. And I agree with that, to be very honest with you. However, how many organizations actually feel well prepared to defend themselves? And the answer is not very many. Apparently, less than half of organizations in those areas feel well prepared to defend themselves. And I'd say, in my experience, this is anecdotal, but if you asked American companies, the ones that actually had an honest viewpoint on themselves, I'd say probably less than half of them feel well prepared as well. I think that we are simultaneously overconfident and underprepared in a lot of places. Let's be honest here. So it's interesting, and I want to point out that the real big problem is that they do have standards. In Spain, there's ENS. In various countries, there's SAMA in Saudi Arabia, NESA in the UAE, etc. But as to the people, the amount of companies that are actually ready, and this is by testing them, by auditing them, the percentages are, I think the best word is grim. 20, 30, 40% is high on how many companies are actually meeting those standards. I just recently had to do, I think 3 months ago, had to do an assessment against ENS for a Spanish or a company that wanted to do Spanish healthcare. And it's not a bad standard at all. It's actually pretty good. But the problem is that there's some very interesting carve-outs in it that make it very Spanish-centric. And if you're not a Spanish native company, it makes it difficult. Well, anything like that makes it more difficult to do it as a foreign company or as somebody who's not used to that standard. And that's a barrier to entry, okay, but it also makes it hard to comply. Effectively, we've got a lot of standards out there. We've got a lot of companies that aren't ready. We've got a lot of companies that are going to get hacked. They're going, like the water company, as your first story talked about, they need to step up. Their table stakes need to be higher and they need to be better. We are not in many, many verticals and in many, many industries ready for a significant cyber attack. And it's a little worrying. So I think that the real takeaway here is that in every vertical, as an organization of cybersecurity professionals, we should be pushing very hard for organizations to be compliant and secure and compliant. No, I'm not putting one before the other. I'm saying them both, okay? Because we have to not only have them secure, we have to be able to measure them against something. And that's where compliance comes in, so that we can show that we are secure, so that we can show that we're doing the right thing, and so that we have a leverage. Because let's be honest, you tell the board, hey, I need a DLP system to stop data exfiltration. They'll go, great, what's it going to cost? 1.5 million. Well, that may wait a few years, which means forever, by the way. Just in case you didn't understand corporateese, that means you're never getting it. But if I can go to the compliance group and go, hey, we need a DLP, and they go, oh, yeah, that's in standard XYZ. Do you need DLP? Yeah, cool, hang on. And they go to the board and say, we need DLP. Well, we're not, no. You didn't hear me. It's required. That budget will show up, and that budget will be given to the security group, and the security group will get the DLP installed. And so what I'm saying is, I guess my overall saying for this article is that while the cyber attacks are going to get worse and worse, we as professionals need to work together with security and compliance, with risk management and executives even, as well as the business, to work out what we actually need and get it done. Because otherwise, I'm telling you right now, you're screwed. Doug, you're up.
Thanks, Josh. I completely agree with what you said, and I think the not only is the day coming when you're going to get got, but the day is coming when you, if you're a CISO or something, are going to get the blame for it, because I'm sure many of you have already gotten the blame for a lot of things, and I've certainly seen that. I've sat there in that meeting and heard people getting yelled at and them saying, I ask you for this. I ask you for this. I ask you for this. You rejected. And they're like, you didn't ask hard enough. You're fired, kind of stuff. And, you all of you know that better than I do. You've been out there dealing with the good old corporate world for a lot longer, and you deal with it every day. And I try to only deal with it when somebody's paying me by the hour to deal with it, which if you'd like to pay me by the hour to deal with it, I'll come deal with it. But yeah. All right. And finally, since we're on meta today anyway, let's just mix all the good meta things together. So besides the Ray-Ban glasses, which are coming soon, Meta has announced their new movie gen system is an AI that they claim can make a video. They did not say deep fake, but I did. They can make a video from a single photo. So one shot, unlike some of us who have like 10,000 hours of us on the internet, if you have a single photo, want to see your most hated political rival having dinner with, I don't know, who's the worst person alive? No, I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not. Let's just call him Brian. Yeah, let's just stick with Brian. But Meta announced this on Friday, and they said that it is a new suite that can allow a realistic video from a single photo. It sounds pretty weird to me. I mean, like, it's one single photo of someone, and somehow it's going to extrapolate, all these actions and whatnot. But they've not announced how or when this is going to be available to the general public. But I guess this will let all of us make whatever we want. I mean, I think there's good things with this too. I mean, I know a lot of people hate like AI art and stuff, but I've actually enjoyed watching, people that probably can't paint or whatever come up with all kinds of great stuff. I mean, I've seen really cool things. But Meta did release something like this called Make a Scene back in 2022, where much like DALL-E and those kind of things, you use text prompts and it guided you into making a custom video. Google demoed Veo back in May. OpenAI has Sora, Runway Gen 3, and the Chinese have one called Kling. Yeah, which maybe they need to revise that name a bit, but I don't know. If you're going to use a Chinese AI generator, it might as well be called Quang. But hey, I'll leave all those obscure Neuromancer references to you. But Movie Gen supposedly will be able to create 1080p high-def videos of up to 16 seconds at 16 frames per second from a text description or from a single image. So CEO Barnfather ordering Michael to switch offices with me? Go. That ought to be doable in 16 seconds, right? All I need is one picture of the CEO. I'm good to go. Or, hey, how the CEO ordering you to change an account number. How about that one? But they apparently also going to offering a big editing suite. So if you think the deep fakes were not good enough, you can now edit them up so that they'll be even better than before. I mean, and I'm not a Luddite. I love this stuff. It's so much fun to play with. I have a blast playing with Dolly and stuff. But wait till phishing attempts can use a picture of Surak to generate a video with his voice saying, "Help me, Spock! Help me!" You know that episode? Yeah. If you don't, you should go watch it. It's called The Savage Curtain. It's really good. Anyway, Abraham Lincoln's in it, but coming soon. So get ready. And that is the news. Thank you, Josh. And I will see you next time on the Security Weekly News.